Okay, greetings friends. I'm here again today. I'm talking about languages. Alright, this is a topic every time. And this time I want to talk about something a little bit more interesting and a little bit maybe controversial. Okay? The question is, take for example a Japanese woman. Okay? When a Japanese woman is speaking English, does her personality and the things that she feels comfortable expressing in English, will this be different from Japanese? Let me say that question again, okay, and let me put it in more general terms. Do different languages have different personalities? Okay? I always like to use myself as an example because I can speak several languages. Most of these are European languages. Okay? Now, what are the European languages? Obviously English, but I don't count it, native language, Spanish, German, Russian, and Croatian. Okay? These are all European languages, therefore the culture is very, very similar. Okay? Basically, yeah, and additionally I don't really have a lot of experience using these languages in country, except for Spanish. Okay? And again, the cultures are very similar. However, and we're going to get back to the Japanese English-speaking woman, I'm going to take Turkish for example. Okay, I'm living in Turkey right now, and I do speak Turkish to a rather appropriate level. Okay, now Turkish culture is different. Okay, Turkish culture, I will not say very different, but it is indeed different from a Western mind point. To some extent, Turkey is a bridge. You have both Western and Eastern, or I'll say Middle Eastern influences. Okay. Now, I've been noticing that Turkish culture and the way that people interact in Turkey, depending obviously upon the social context and your social, what do they call that? Don't even remember. All right. It's basically if you're rich or poor, and like what are your influences, social hierarchy, whatever, strata, okay? But it's different, okay? And even if you're in a very Western-minded area of Turkey, you're still gonna have a different approach than as far as a Western area of like Europe or the United States, okay? And what I want to say is, the question is, when you speak, for example, for me, as an English and Turkish speaker, when I speak Turkish, does my personality change in order to incorporate the culture that is expressed through that language? Let me say that one more time, okay? When I speak Turkish, do I have a different personality because Turkish culture is different and because language and culture are very interconnected, okay? Think about that question, okay? Think about that question for a second, and I'd like to go ahead, before I answer for myself, I'd like to go ahead and go back to the example of the Japanese English speaker, okay? Now, this is a very interesting question, okay? And it kind of has to deal with the Sapir-Whorf hypotheses, which I think some of you may be familiar with. Here's a quick overview if you don't know. Sapir-Whorf was a famous linguist, and he asked this. His question is basically, when you are a speaker of a language, does this change your perspective on the world, and does it change how you think? Okay? And obviously, this question is going to be debated from when it was introduced until the hereafter, because if you think you can prove it, if you think you can prove the Sapir-Whorf hypotheses, and if you think you can convince everyone, it's always going to bring up debate, because basically there's two levels, alright? There's like the surface level of like human interactions, which obviously it will be different. And then there's a deeper level of like mathematical logic and like abstract and higher level thinking, which will not change. So the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis is true and it is false. Where is it true on the surface level? Where is it false on the deep level? Okay? And I think when people understand, they'll be like, okay, yeah, this is true. So that's basically what it means. And so bringing that Sapir-Whorf hypotheses into the Japanese woman will be like, okay, I will say, because English culture and Western culture allows women to be angry and to express their feelings, and it's okay to get pissed, basically in English, as a woman. And on a surface level of the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, this is very, very different from Japanese cultures, because women are very humble, they're very accepting, they don't, show emotion really. And so the thing is, Sapir-Whorf hypothesis is true for the surface level, because English is a medium where Japanese women, through the culture of English-speaking countries, can express their anger. Something using English syntax, grammar, or whatever, they're speaking English. In Japanese culture, it's completely, you can obviously be mad in Japanese, the language, but in the culture, it's more not so acceptable. Okay, so I think this is very interesting. And I think, additionally, bringing the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis from a deeper level, obviously the Japanese woman, whether if she's speaking English or if she's speaking Japanese, she can think about abstract things, and her position in the world, she can understand, maybe, that it changes within the context of Japanese or within English, and so there's a deeper level of human, metacognition, okay? Alright, yeah, so basically getting back to my question as far as, how does my personality, does it change when I'm speaking Turkish or when I'm speaking English? And so this is interesting because I'd say it does, okay? I'd say it does a little bit, in as far as to how I need to adapt myself to Turkish culture. Because when you're speaking Turkish, at a semi-fluent level or even at a fluent level, purely okay, this person understands Turkish, the language, and there's an expectation that you understand the culture. And that's why I think, because it's you really can't separate language and culture. And that's why I would say, yes, my personality does change a little bit, because I'm adapting to how Turkish people interact within a Turkish context. Okay, there's a lot more that can be said about this. But basically that's what I want to stop right now, okay? Yeah.